Hello everyone, you're very welcome, whether you've come here directly from my landscape painting book, the ebook, which is available on my website and beneath this video actually, or you've come directly in from YouTube. It's great to have you here. What I'm going to paint today is, I'll show you now. Right, okay, this is Carne Beach in County Wexford in Ireland. It's a very beautiful place to be, lovely soft countryside, and a place where I spent many happy days as a child with my family. So we used to holiday around that region, just that little particular corner of Ireland, because we had relatives there. My mother was from County Wexford too, so we were all brought up in London, but we used to holiday here. And so it brings back very many happy memories. This was just the other day, this photographic reference I took at low tide at Carne Point. So that's what I'm going to paint, and let me show you the palette I'm going to use. Okay, so here we go. Now I've got quite an extended palette here, haven't I? I just decided to give myself every opportunity that I could be afforded from the paints that I have. So let me see, it's a bright palette. So let me go through it. So titanium white, cadmium yellow pale hue, cadmium yellow medium, yellow ochre, cadmium red light, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, viridian, and burnt sienna. Okay, so I mean I've basically got a warm and a cool of the reds and blues here. And even in the yellows, let's have a look. So this is a blue that's tending towards green, and this is a blue that's tending towards red. Okay, so ultramarine tends towards red, cerulean tends towards yellow, green. Alizarin crimson is a red that tends towards blue, so that's cool. And this is cadmium red light tends towards yellow, so it's warm. The yellow ochre, it's good to have an earth colour. There's two here on the palette. There's burnt sienna here, yellow ochre. So these are, this is a warm, very warm yellow, cadmium yellow medium. I find that this cadmium yellow is cooler because it's very bright, and you can tip it towards cool or warm. And titanium white is titanium white. It's a nice strong white. I wanted to give myself a bright palette because I want to paint a bright version of the reference in broken colour. Okay, so very bright, very sort of impressionist is what I'm aiming for in this painting. Okay, so let's crack on, shall we? All right, so let's start with a drawing. So let me grab a wee brush and get some burnt sienna. I mean, the aim of this is really to paint loosely. It's not to we don't want to sort of copy the photograph religiously. Okay, so let's go across a line across there for there's a kind of a triangle presenting itself here, so something like that. That's the harbour wall. Something like that. We'll bring that down a little bit there. We might play around with that later. There's a bit of a harbour there. The boat, we'll bring that over actually. Okay. The main boat comes around there like that. Kind of follows the triangle really. That can go up there like that, but to the middle of the harbour wall, coming down slightly at an angle there. And then we've got the boathouse. I'm not a nautical person. Nobody could ever accuse me of being that, but so there. I think 10 minutes on a boat this size, I think I'd be feeding the seagulls. There, we've got that. We've got this change in the paintwork down here. Comes up to about there. So really that's the triangle, isn't it? We've got the shadow being cast against the wall. It's a lovely sunny day. Up there like that. There's the prow of the boat. And then the shadow comes up here like that. Down there like that. And it's cast across the water. It's very shallow, the water. So in fact you can see the sand through it. So we've got reflection coming down here. That's the underside of the boat coming around there like that. The red's being reflected there. There's a kind of a prop or something there. Well, that can go in later, that's fine. There. Let's make more of that sort of shape. Grab some more burnt sienna and blue. And so we've got some gubbins going on over here. So there's a boat there. There's a very similar boat sort of behind, just in fact it's almost identical. Come out there like that, and then we've got the boathouse there. I call it a boathouse. I don't know what it is. The cabin, I suppose. There. And I'm going to bring down the wall because I don't want the wall to be... I want the cabin to be breaking the line of the wall. If it just touches it, I don't think it'll look as good. So it'll create a tangent, which is what we don't want. And then there's a kind of a crane there. There. And then you've got the land in the distance, which is really quite distant, very small. That area of Wexford's very flat. Okay, and then we've got some stuff going on there. So really, the principal thing is in there. There's a kind of a winch, gubbins there, dark there. Okay, I think that's it. So what we'll do is we'll put in the darks first. That's what I usually like to do, so that it'll be the structure of the painting. Let's grab a different brush. I'm going to put this in reasonably thinly, and I'm going to add a little bit of liquid to it. It'll just help the paint to go on a bit quicker and set so that I'm not sort of picking up so much of the paint below when I add the next layers. There, bit of a tire there by the looks of it. See that bit up there? The walkway is up there, so if there's a person, they'd be looking down on the boat like that. Yeah. So we've got a stuff in there. Let's put the that tire. In there, and there's another tyre there. Stop the boats from damaging themselves against the wall. We've got that there. So that's kind of dark there, like that. This is dark enough there. Have it reflected. There. So this is a bit like a notan, which is just a kind of a schematic of the composition. Now we do have a nice dark. There's a window there. There. So we kind of have the bones of the painting now. We've got this up there. That'll be there, that's good. Bring that up a little bit. And then we're almost ready to fill in some of the blocks. Okie dokie. Where's my rag? Right. Okay. So I'm going to start out with that cabin, which is obviously very light, but it's not perfectly white. Where's the brightest bright in this composition? It really is in those whites, so in the cabin area. So, but I'm going to dampen it down a little bit, but make a warm. So yellow plus cadmium yellow, medium plus white plus a little bit of warm red. Let's see what a touch of blue just to make it slightly grey. Put a bit of liquid in there. So I just want to leave myself some room tonally to go upwards towards the end. So let's put that in there. Yeah, that's okay. That's not too bad. And as it turns around, it gets slightly darker, so and cooler. So I'm going to add in some alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue there. And that'll go in there like that, cabin around there like that. Same with the one behind, which was here. And then put in the lighter part again. Okay, there. There. And that boat here, just so that I remember where it is actually. Okay. So I'll just put that there like that. Right. I'm going to put in just some of that red of the hull. So I'd say, see here, the sun is on that red and it is a warm red. So I'm going to bring some of that here. But to me, that's a little bit desaturated for some reason. So I'm going to add some alizarin crimson to bump up that red a little bit. Put in a little bit of liquid. Keep it thin and flat. I'm not going to deal with that text, that boat number yet at all. And that comes across here like that. Up there. That's another bit of blocking done. Let's try the harbour wall, which to me could be expressed as mostly a kind of an orangish. I'll use some earth colour in here, yellow ochre. See, add in a touch of blue and a little bit of white into those two yellows there. Those two yellows there, red. Little bit of ultramarine in there. Into this I can put in my nuances later. Okay. There we can see it through here, coming down along there and down to the end of the harbour wall there. Okay, and then down here, of course, in there and here. Okay, and in there. Okay, we can see a little bit of that here as well. Okay, so I want to do the sky. Like the sky is reflected in the water, so a lot of the water is made from the mix that you make for the sky. And I'm going to put it in as a block first. So I think, let's see what, I'm going to mix those two greens together with white. See what happens, and put in a little bit of liquid, because I'm just trying to keep everything flat and quick setting as possible at the moment. Okay, maybe something like that. So let's block in that sky. Okay, I might have to bring that harbour wall down a little bit. Make sure I leave a little bit of my drawing in, just so that I can remember where everything is. I might make the angle just that little bit more dramatic. Okay, that'll do there. Now, there's definitely a reflection of that sky there. It's darker though, the sea is darker. What we can see is a reflection of the sky, and then showing through is all the seaweed and the sand that's underneath the water. That's having an effect too. Okay. Okay, so there we go. I want to do the underside of that boat in some of the blue paintwork, which is definitely a mixture of ultramarine plus white plus alizarin crimson, I think. A little bit of that. Okay, a little bit of liquid to lengthen the paint a little bit. Put that along there like that. There's a curve that comes around in a curve. Put in that support that goes there, put that in later. Okay, and also coming along here. Along the top of the cabin. Okay. We'll do the door and everything afterward. Put that there. The crane, or whatever it is. There, like that, and then bring that around there like that. You can't see it so much on that boat there, but that's fine. And also we've got this gubbins here. Not sure what it is. It looks mechanical and looks as if it does something. And then we've got structure of the boat kind of ends here. Okay. Now, to be honest, that thing supporting the boat, this thing here, looks the same, much the same as the sky. That can go there like that. Okay, now over here, there's a lot of green. Oh, I'm going to use the vermilion in my my mix here. We've got some algae. And it's quite dark. Not that that's coming up around there. It's in there. So we just need to get an indication that there's quite a lot of colour in that wall. I can go along there like that. And that just extends down into the water. It's been reflected. There's shallow water, but there is water there. It's reflecting a load of algae, which is over here too. Now we've got a reflection of the red of the boat, so I'm going to go back to my red there and have that coming down here like that. Okay, we've got a reflection of that dark part of the boat. It's actually even darker, so let's get some blue, get some burnt sienna, a little bit of liquid, and I think a bit of yellow, maybe yellow ochre, because it's slightly on the green side. Okay, and put that dark in there. And it comes right up to the prow. That comes here like that, so that's plugged in, and that can also be expressed in here as well. Okay. Okay, let's grab some more of the sky sea colour. Put a bit of alizarin into it. Okay, and then we can have that coming down there like that. That looks more like a reflection of the wall, okay, but we'll get back to that later. There like that, across there like that, push that in there like that. Now down here it is greener, so I'll add some yellow into that. And that go in there like that, coming up to there. Lots of colour being reflected in the sea. Okay, I'm going to change my brush to a smaller one, and that boat, the small boat, is just tethered to the between the other two. The white one is kind of slightly dark, but slightly greyish off to one side. We'll start it with a kind of a blue grey. There. Put that across there like that. There are other blue-grey items. There's another one there. Lighten that slightly. Just heighten the tone of it. There. Okay, that's light going across the top of it. There's another one there. Let's grab some a light tone and put it in there. It's not the center of the picture, so it's not absolutely vital to have it completely, perfectly expressed. It's just cursory. Dark underneath, a bit of a reflection underneath. Okay, so let me do something with the sky now. I think, actually, do you know what? Let's get a darkish blue-grey. We can sort of show those tires. They're not absolutely dark, so they're not the darkest dark or anything, so that can come off. And make sure it comes off the composition emphatically. Must have been tractor tires or something. They're quite big. They can go across here like that, and they're all covered in lichen, especially down here where they're immersed in the water a lot of the time. There. Okay, let's grab some of a grey-green. And then we can put in some idea of like concrete, I suppose it is. I'm not sure it's stone built. Some of it is, I think. So we can come up to there. All right, that shadow. I'm going to make it a purpley kind of shadow. Dark, but I'm initially going to put in some burnt sienna into that. Okay, and that can go here like that. So I'm going to paint this cast shadow in there like that. Get it around there. Around the top of that actually, there. Come around here. That. You just block this in around here, going up on the inside of that tire. Across the water to join the wall, and then it comes up there like that. I'm not bothering to do any of the ropes yet. That's all comes in at the end. It's the blocks that you're doing first of all. So we've got that one there, we've got this one here, that's fine. Bit of darkness around there, can close that up. There's a bit of darkness there. Okay, and now we can maybe just sort of have a look at some of these marking. If I put these in just lightly for the moment. There, big window there, and then another window there. Means we can push the colour of the cabin around a little bit. There's that, there's a dark there. Okay. Right. Now the top of that that wall goes redder as it reaches the top. This is the stone part actually, which is where you walk. It's the far side of the walk there. Okay. We've got the shadows in there now. Maybe a little dark here wouldn't be. That's fine to have that in there now. Dark there. Now, we can see a dark version of the red of the hull of the boat. Just on that side. We'll put that in there. As the boat turns around towards the wall. It's very dark. It's not perfectly easy to see, but there it is. Okay, now I want to do something with the sky. So we're going to start sort of adding the broken colour in now. So as the sky tends towards the horizon, it can go lighter. So let's change my brush actually. The sky. We can put in some dabs in those areas that haven't been painted just yet. Okay. What you don't want is just a great big slab of sky. There's got to be some variation in it. Ooh, there's something that I forgot it. You live in one part of the painting, and then you sort of need to. Suddenly you discover there's something that you can miss completely, so that can go in there while it's still possible. Easily there. That looks like the some kind of radio gubbins. I told you I wasn't very au fait with marine stuff. Okay, so we can go in here like that. Okay, and into the blocks also at the sea end, you know, the reflection of the sky. Let's put in some, it's a slightly different tone, but it's darker and redder, I think. We can sort of add it in as variations into the sea. Okay. Okay. And it's said of Monet that he cross-hatched his strokes in his painting style, his latter painting style. And I'll do that a bit here as well. I like it. You could do completely vertical strokes all the way around the painting if you so wished. I mean, there's nothing to stop you, and it's an effective way of working. Or you could do completely horizontal strokes, or you can cross hatch. The objective, I suppose, is not to blend. Let your strokes be seen. Okay, so this can come down here, of course. We can shape that that section there, section of the harbour wall. Okay, coming like that, even here. Okay, now let's get a darker blue, which we have over here, which is actually for the hull. And there are areas which are darker. That can go across there like that. I think myself that painting becomes therapeutic from this stage on. You know, when they're talking about art therapy and things like that, you know, or you get lost in a painting. You paint, you know, when you've established what it is that you're trying to do, and so there's just the job to be gone on with. I think that's when it has its biggest benefit. You know, you've left the stage of worrying about your drawing behind, and your painting becomes the thing that almost that it's going to be. And then it sort of becomes relaxing. And you can sort of glide for a few hours in your painting. Now, obviously, I won't be doing this in a few hours. I've got to do it more quickly than that because it's a video, and you know, you don't have iron trousers on. You've got to take a break. So what I'd like to do now is actually introduce a little bit of pink into the sky. So a warm pink. So cadmium yellow, a bit of cadmium red light, and white. So that will give you a nice warm pink. We can start sort of putting in some warm pink. It's more or less on top of it. Don't push the paint around too much. You're building up like little mosaic little mosaic tiles. What are they called? Tesserae or something like that, aren't they? So the object is to have a colourful sky. The viewer does the mixing. There we go. And, you know, the thing about this kind of painting is that it necessarily removes your painting from from being tethered to the reference, which you don't want. You don't want to be recreating a photograph. Okay, so, and some of that can also be expressed in the sea, maybe a little bit more darkly. Let's have a look. So I've added a little bit of ultramarine blue to that pink. And we've got it's being reflected in the water there, and even here. So we can start to bring these two areas together. Because the important thing is the painting. It's not your ability to recreate a photograph. It's your ability to create something out of material given to you, or that you've chosen. And it's more, if you're going to be painting a lot, many times from photographs, it's more rewarding to change it than it is to make a facsimile. Okay, this can go on for quite some time. Now, I think I'm going to add some cerulean blue to white and add some cadmium yellow light or pale hue to it. Add a little bit of liquid. Okay, and let's see what that does. It just adds a bit of interest value into the sky. So skies tend to sort of get paler and slightly lighter and yellower towards on a good day, towards the horizon. Sort of pale light green. It helps to make the red of the boat stand off the painting a little bit more. But that's what they mean by broken colour. It's that it's a bit like the printing process, the 4-colour printing process, where everything is rendered as dots, but the viewer mixes the dots optically. And I would imagine that 4-colour process was new around about the time the Impressionists were painting. So it may be that they got a bit of the idea from that. And also, once again, it needs to be reflected down in the sea. Okay, well, in that case we can sort of do the same thing with the boat. Let's go back into the red of the hull, grab some cadmium red, add a little bit of white just to make it paler, because it goes pale as it hits the back of the boat. And treat it the same way, really. And as it comes towards the front of the boat too, it gets paler. Comes around there like that. Start and maybe even some ultramarine and white, where the light is hitting. You can experiment with it, because when you get your first few strokes, the first few dabs of a kind of a different or an unexpected colour, you can kind of tell whether it's going to work or not. So if it really doesn't work, you can stop and reevaluate what you're going to do. So that can be in there like that as well. So plenty of colour. This is going to be about brightness. Okay, so we've got the reflection of the boat. That can go in as a bright kind of violet-y blue. What's that? So ultramarine white and a bit of alizarin crimson, and we can sort of join that up. So we're just painting into the blocks like any other painting, really. And over here too, join up these darks around here, put it in there. There we go, that can join up there. In fact, I'm going to put that in as a whole there. I can always paint something else into that afterwards. Okay, so okay, back into the wall. So now we can sort of start adding some interest into that wall at the top. So let's get a kind of some yellow ochre and put in some darker. We can go lighter sort of afterwards if it's required, but it's old concrete or old stone, and it's been very, very weathered, so you need to get across an idea of that. So that can go across there. In there. This is not the most important part. This is playing a supporting role. Okay. And less detail as you go towards the back. And in fact, we've got a nice dark end of the pier part there. Coming down like that, push that out a little bit. This window here, you're actually seeing through to the wall, I think. It looks like that, or it's reflecting something which is a similar tone. There, and then you can see the wall there. I'm going to have to put in the blue of that winch. There, and it comes across further than that, so let me grab a dark blue. So that comes down lower than that. There. Okay. Now let me just grab sort of a cooler yellow, a cooler red, I should say. So alizarin crimson. Make a cooler red. Cooler red. Maybe add a little bit of cadmium red into it as well. Let's see. Parts of this would be cooler, especially over here. So a similar thing as we were doing in the sky. We get a bit of temperature variation. We can always go back into it. Okay, there's the this part below, which in fact is kind of goes slightly green, isn't it? Let's try that. Kind of a slightly, well, that's not green, but we can put that in afterwards. There's reflecting beneath it. Let's grab a brighter blue. Some of it is brighter, especially around here. Now you can see that support there, that's a greener blue. Remember, we're cross-hatching our dabs. Okay, let's go back into the white area there. So let's make a lighter and warmer. So lots of white, a bit of yellow, a bit of red. Make a kind of a pinker. We want to catch some sun here, rather than just a pure white. That can come up and across there. This one's the same here. There. We'll go back into that side too. And also that electrical communications part there. You need a steady hand for that. There. And let's grab that kind of a more bluey tone here. Bring it up to the edge. Now, that wanted to be slightly wider, so I'm going to put that in, push that shadow away. Let's put in the greeny blue of that flap underneath there. There's a support there. There's a dark shadow being cast by part of that there, and then a light part which is catching the sun there. Okay, let's work on the paintwork. Just make a brighter blue and a bit of cerulean into that. So it's a ultramarine white and cerulean mix. Putting a nice big stroke up there. Coming along to there. And then it is really very bright coming down there. If I can actually get that paint to lay on top there a little bit better. Okay, that blue goes darker as it hits the back of the boat, so that can go in darker there and darker under there as it moves away from the light. There. And also along there. Okay, and that's a bit grubby looking there, I suppose. Light is being caught here. I'm not sure what it is, but there it is. And across the back of that boat, don't know what that is either. Then that is there. And the eye will just read it as aquatic things. Okay, I need to brighten up these prow things. Don't go out to sea with me. And then there's a dark there. And that blue comes across there like that. Okay. Right. Back to the sea. Let's get some sand underneath that water. So I've mixed some yellow ochre with the green that I have down here. And so that's that kind of, you're looking at the sand through the water and the reflection of the sky. Put some of that in there, and even sort of down here. Because the closer to the shore, you know, the closer to where you're standing, you'll see more sand. Of course, that's the way it works. Because you're looking down into it more as the closer you get. Here we go. And I do hope you're enjoying the ebook. It took a while to put it together, a while to accumulate the references. And you don't have to do this for the reference that I provided. You just need to paint it whatever way you feel, but just don't slavishly copy the reference. That's the whole idea. It gives you an opportunity to, having the painting with the reference, gives you an opportunity to see at least how one person treated the reference. Okay, let's go back to the sky. I might even try a cooler pink. Just add a bit of alizarin crimson into that. See what happens. Now, I haven't used very much in the way of viridian yet. Viridian is very cold, and I think it might be useful in some of the shadow areas in this painting, and even in the sky. So we'll give that a go later, because we're experimenting and we're seeing what we can manage. Make the skies interesting and vibrant and alive. Colour dark over this side here. Okay, so we've got some nice stuff going on in the sky. Let's lighten the sky towards the horizon and make it a lighter, more warmer pink. Remember, you're not working those dabs when you put them down. You're applying the dab and then moving on. And there's going to be a certain amount of softening as the paint builds up, but that's not the objective. The objective is to lay the paint down on the top. Until the desired effect is achieved. Okay, so let's try an orange. Okay, so let's grab some cadmium yellow and some cadmium red, some liquid and some white. See what we get out of that. Oh, it's a lot hotter. Let's see. It becomes like an optical illusion that people stop seeing the individual strokes, and it's just the effect is the important thing. It's kind of like a stage before pointillism, really. In pointillism, you're trying to make distinct dots in the painting. It kind of really is no blending at all, no dabs softening into each other. I think that, you know what it is you're telling the story of the fabulous times that you had in a place when you're young, and carefree, and you're with your family, and well, hopefully, you have lovely times as a child, and you remember things in certain ways, don't you? These kind of glorious moments of your youth. And that's what you're describing, really, the heat of the days. You do that with colour. You can do it any way you please, but just is the intention. Now let's see what the viridian does. Let's grab some of that there. Add a little bit of white into it. And that really is quite cold and start. Let's see what happens. We can always change it later if it's too much. No, don't do it absolutely everywhere. You can sort of have the sky blending, not actual blending, but transforming over the surface from one part to another. Like in the sunset. There we go. Now, what does the viridian do in here? Maybe we could do some more colourful strokes in here. We don't have to overdo that, really. Gives the impression of age and function, really. Now let's go in here. you at this stage you're really starting to make things up, playing with your painting. And in here, just mix it with the old green, the warmer green, because that's reflecting. Oh, I'll do a bit more red into that. It's reflecting all the, what do you call it, lichen, or the algae above it, up here. And that can also be added there. And in here, the actual tire itself too. Bring some of this out, because that, get some shadow in there. Join that up. Okay. A more yellowy green. Yeah, that's better. Not blending, just drowning. Wonder what some reds would do in that part there. Let's grab some cadmium red light. That seems convincing, to me anyhow. Yeah. A large amount of painting is about leading your viewer to see something, to take a journey into the painting, I suppose. You can do that, with your brush work, with your composition, with temperature, tone, all the variables. But the objective is to tell some kind of story. Wish you were here. Now there's some very bright algae down here that can be treated the same way, and also here on that tire itself. They're just random little strokes to amplify what's going on there. This tire here has been out of the water, or is out of the water much longer. Let's put in a little bit of the tire rim. Let's see, I need to make a grey, so white plus 3 colours. That will do there, and then come down like that. You don't need a compass or anything, just try and get it right. And then some light parts, because the light is hitting the bottom of that rim there, across there like that. For some reason it's been bashed, hasn't it? So it's kind of gone. A nice light blue for and then back to another part of the... Let's put a little bit of pink, nice warm pink, in the cabin area. Because this would be reflecting everything around it. So you need to sort of show that it's there. You can go in quite heavy now because we're in the latter stages now. So we've got some blues, pinks, oranges, a little bit of green. When you're painting white, you know, it's always good to have lots of different colour into it, all the same tone, you know, the same value. Up there, and even there, in fact, there's a bit of a shadow on that side. There. And then there's, well, I'll do all the gubbins on the top of it later. I want to work into that heavy shadow now that the boat is casting. So let's do a brilliant blue. Let's see what happens there. In there. So pure burnt, pure ultramarine and touch of white for the moment. Let's see. Even there. Some shadows there too. Where else? Down here, we lose that sort of that sharp edge there because that's disappearing away from us. Just break it up a little bit. Okay, and now we're back in. Well, let's do the shadow first. Even here, there's a lot of cool colours to go in. Push that there. Something in the window there. Some kind of reflection in there. A kind of reflection in here too. That's what we're looking through at that harbour wall. Okay. Back to the water. I want to get a darker blue into that water. Okay, so let's have a look. So in certain places. In here. Okay, now there's a reflection that I missed underneath yonder boat, so that needs to go in too. So it's a few reflections, and also the underside of the boat is a kind of a same tone as the harbour wall actually, so it's not an identical boat, but you don't need to put much information in there. Let's put in a dark for the paintwork. Yeah, like that. Put in a few windows. Okay, dark in there. Dark in there. We don't know what's going on over there. It's too far away. It doesn't need to be overly described. Okay, and then shape the bottom of this electrical gubbins. Okay. Right, I want to do a brighter red, more orangey red in here as well. So lose that sort of sharp line everywhere. Don't come down and moderate those pinks that I put in before. Okay. I'm going to put in the surround of the door. For example, that there's a line that comes down right beside that window, I should say. I do want that in. Along there like that. There's a shadow that's worth putting in here. I just want to register that. And that does come down the far side. There. And let's put in a very dark blue here, as that cabin's turned away from the light. Okay, and there are some kind of highlights on the paintwork. Be interesting going in, so I'm not making them too light yet. There. Yeah, like that, just give it a more three-dimensional look. And then some bright ones as well. That might be interesting to have in. Now I want to get those highlights in on that crane jobby. My hand is shaking, oh my goodness. That can go there like that. And there's also a lighter where the pipe turns around towards the sun. There, you don't need to be overly descriptive anyway. There's some stuff there. We don't know what it is. Now let's put a nice dark underneath the underneath that part of the boat there. Yeah, that's dark there. There. That red, I need to push down a wee bit. There. And then there's a kind of a pale ochre just part there. Not sure exactly what that is. just rusty metal, I suppose. Right, I need to put a dark. Here. Around there. Where else have I got to put a dark? There. Okay, like that. Even under there. So back into the sea again. There are light areas and there are dark areas. So I'm just adjusting the painting to the way I want it to be. Even here will be reflecting some sky. Going to adjust that because it's not so distinct. Okay. Okay. Now I do need to reflect that boat before I forget. Down here. And underneath that there, that's a similar. Now let's put in a little bit of very far away sand. Not to neglect Wexford's beautiful beaches, beautiful long stretches of golden sand, stretching a lot of the way around the coast. I should be employed by the tourist industry. Let's grab some more light yellow. We'll see if we can sort of change this. And after this we can put the gubbins in. All the gubbinses that are around the painting. All the paraphernalia, all the ropes, the things hanging from the crane, whatever you have in yourself. Let's make that pink. Oh, and of course the number of the boat, it features so prominently that I don't want to neglect it and not put it in. We'll come to that. Hold on. Across the top of here, we need to just describe some tonal variations along here, color variations. That's not really important, but there are some bluish greys that I wouldn't mind putting in. All that is not necessary really, because it's just be over describing it, making some greys in there, some light greys. Even here. And in the wall here, because it's not all golden coloured. Maybe down towards the end. In here. There. Some more green. Let's try some viridian with, yeah, kind of a grey green. And even here, because this will be reflected. Back into the sea. Somebody said once that the creative trajectory, that when you start something, you should really allow 4 hours for it, because it takes you a while, maybe an hour or something, to get up into the clouds, and then you need to cruise for a while. You know, you need to be up at that height, and after about 4 hours, you start to get tired. You need to change, or you need to go to the loo. You know, but you know, roughly 4 hours for many people, and it certainly does work that way for me. So don't rush. No need to rush. And if your painting is not an alla prima painting, you know, and you never intended it to be, well, that's fine. You know, you can come back to your painting whenever you like and just set off again on that little journey. Okay. I want to go back into the sky again. Let's try a kind of a slightly warmer green. I like green skies. A lot of them are around in Impressionist paintings. Makes the whole thing more interesting. See, so you can see a cool green here and a warm green here. They're both the same tonal range, roughly. Put it in, you know, don't forget to reflect it. Reflect it in here, just because it probably is there, even if you can't see it. Okay, so pretty soon we'll go into the little details. you remember we started off with a pure mix of blue and white for the sky? And now it's kind of more or less transformed. And at this stage, I mean, apart from the position of certain things, you're not really referring to the reference very much. It's done its job. It's provided the material, and you've provided the art because you haven't been umbilically attached to your reference. No, and there are thousands of different ways you could approach this painting. Just an infinite variety, an infinite amount of techniques and approaches and variations. So don't beat yourself up about your one not being exactly what you intended, because it almost never is exactly what you intend. Well, not with me anyway. I freely admit it. I started painting with all the intention of making it a certain way, and it ends up another. And usually it ends up the way that I normally paint anyway. Nothing I can do about it. So. I like the way that these colours vibrate off against each other. And now I need a lighter orangey colour, just to vary what's going on up here a little bit. Because the same things are going on here. There are little ripples and they're reflecting different ways. Let's see if it would be good in here. Yeah, why not? Don't need to overdo it. And remember, there is sand being reflected up through the water. And in fact, it's nice. There's a nice reflection coming down here from this tower. Why not have that in? Not tower, cabin. Okay, there's a bit of a shadow. We're moving into the details now. So a bit of a shadow there. We don't know what's reflecting. Maybe it's this thing here. Yeah, maybe, could be. Could be. There's a dark hanging down from it. That. Don't know what it is. Something fishing boaty. But you know what though? It would be hanging down vertically and not tilting like the boat. Let me just push that across there. Something warm. I can't tell exactly what that stuff is at all. Right, so let's start putting in some gubbins. Gubbins there. There's a thing. Probably a siren or something there. But you know me, I don't know what it is. Let's push this window out a little bit. push this window, increase the width of it. Same with this one, that can go across. And that one down to the line there. Okay. We've got something there, so I just want to push that across. Now some things going on at the back here, so a thing, another thing, there's a dark there that I can put in there, and something here, we know not what. Stuff. Some darks. Darks in here. Dark in there. Okay, let's grab my sky a little bit again. Hang on, let's get into there. Okay. Get some of that, push it over. Not sure what that was there, but anyway. Let's try and make a nice blue. Bit of variation in there, did no harm. Oh, some ropes. Okay, so let's grab, it's a viridian, I think, would make that rope. Okay, there we go. Let's grab some of that. Because around ships, it's got to be ropes, hasn't there? You can't just avoid doing the ropes up there. I'm not going to have it sitting exactly the way it is there, because I'd rather it seen a little bit more. So there, it's a rope here, isn't there? Going across there like that. Maybe a nice sort of more grey rope tethering that boat here. light here, here, and here. Must be kind of a guardrail, I suppose. I mean, there's all stuff going on here, but that's not necessary, really. That is actually held up by a very Gordian knot there. And then there's a rope coming down there like that, and just kind of tying those two together. Not necessary to be specific. Shadow there, and I'm going to lighten bits of the rope here. For example, where the sun suddenly kind of comes in across there like that, and same with this one. There like that. Some mild description there. And I just need to grab a very light light, just rework the grand entrance here. That's it there, and that in there is reflecting all that sort of blue around it, the sea, and it goes dark as it hits the top there. Should push it up a wee bit, and push those up a wee bit. Now, WD-40, whatever it was. Let's not make it absolutely bright as yet. We'll make it slightly greyish. Put a bit of liquid in it just so that it flows more easily. And it kind of starts. I'm going to start it here anyway. I need to put it in very, very lightly first, because just in case I get it arseways. Okay, so it's reasonably okay. So let me try this again. So pushing it over slightly, give myself a bit more room. Two, two, three. That's better. Now that means I can go back in with my red. painting too bright. Forgive me for not talking, I'm just concentrating. So let's get, you don't need to be too specific about this. You could end up doing this all day, and it's not really that necessary, but I suppose if you wanted to sell the painting to the boatman, and there's another boat that's very, very similar just down the way. I'm only kidding. Now, just want to refine that text a little bit by painting around it. Okay, and I think I'll take one last pass. Must be from Waterford, I suppose. I never didn't give it any thought before now. Why it had WD on it, of course. Denizen of the high seas that I am. Let me just would like to do something a bit more with the sky. But essentially this is done. I didn't even paint that headland at all, or that far shore, because I don't know, it looks like a far shore already. Let's see, something that I didn't do for pig iron is put a very light orange into the mix of the sky, making sure it's the same tone. Light. A bit darker. Very sparkly sea. bit of a long one today, but look, if you can persevere. It's fun. And as Basil Fawlty used to say, fun? I remember fun. There you go. Maybe some of that can go in here as well, just to break up some of that. Okay. Oh, maybe just a few little bits and pieces of boaty things. That I can see but I can't comprehend. Okay, so that's it. So what I'll do is I'll make a good photograph of this, you know, a high res one, and put this just after me talking at the end of the video, and I'll let it run for about 20 seconds. So do leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell button and subscribe, all those things that make the algorithm work. And maybe if you'd like to pick up the ebook, and you arrived here from YouTube, not rather than the ebook, I've got a collection of 10 beautiful images for you to paint, all of which have an accompanying painting done by me, so that you can see how I treated it, and then you can treat the reference whatever way you will. And two of the pictures have accompanying videos. This one, and there's another one there of Mount Errigal in Donegal in Ireland too. So if you've had a lovely time, do say so. Leave a comment and click the like button. And here's the image coming up. Hello everyone. As I mentioned earlier on in this video, I created an ebook for painters. So it's for photographic references, and there are 12 original photographic references that don't exist anywhere else that you can paint in this ebook, and each one is accompanied by a painting that I did from that reference. Which should give you an idea of maybe how to approach painting from a photograph. Because the thing about photography is you don't try and make a facsimile of it. You try and use it just as material to create something else, or something better, or something more engaging or inviting. So that's what this book is for. So I'll take you through this ebook now. So if I go to the next page, there's the introduction, of course. Now there's a link in the introduction to the two videos that are created from references in this book. You'll see them marked. The references that I painted on video are marked with a YouTube logo. Okay, so there's the index page. There's the variety of imagery that you have to work with, and all you have to do is say, for example, you want to go to this one. You click on it, and there you're taken to the reference. Okay, so that's the photographic reference, and if you go to the next page, that's the painting I made from it. So I just wanted to use that reference to create something else. In this circumstances, as you've seen in the video before now, it's to give the painting a kind of a Monet Impressionist flavour. Okay, so let's go back and return to the index page. Um, Here's another example, a Provençal village scene. Okay, so it looks very complex, but none of this is really complex because you make a painting as simple as as you like, really. So there it is, simplified. There's strokes just to indicate that there are things there, but the viewer's mind fills in a lot of the blanks anyway. So let's go back here. So, and there's some more. So this book is available beneath this video. You can click to a link there and it'll be, you can download it. If you want to go to my website, www.McSherryStudio.com, there it is. There are links from the ebook to my website as well, and you can also buy it there. And so look, good luck with it, enjoy it, and let me know what you think. Always email me. You can sort of contact me through my website or even through the ebook itself. So happy painting, and I hope to see you soon.